You can understand what it's like to be you, Scott overall.
Tons of time.
Yeah.
So we're saying 2 or 3 minutes?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, right.
Ready?
Hang on. Chill. Utilities, right.
If you could try not to take an in-breath for the whole time.
Okay, right. On your marks. Set.
So, as some of you probably know, I ran the marathon at the Olympics. I qualified for that by running 2 hours 10:55 at Berlin in 2011. That was in September, and then in December I was named to the team. So from, it's quite a long time from December to the actual race in August. So for me, that whole time was about, the main focus of training was just for that one race. I did other races leading up to that, like the New York Half Marathon, and then basically the proper marathon training started kind of 12 weeks before the race. So going into the race itself, the whole Olympic experience, it started when you go to Loughborough to collect your kit. You collect all your kit in Loughborough, you're there for maybe a day or 2 days, and then you have the choice between staying in Loughborough, flying to Font-Romeu in France, or going to Portugal. And those are the 3 places, the 3 holding camps, as it were. So myself, Ross, I think all of us were in Portugal, right?
Yeah, you came a bit.
I'm getting to that bit.
He was left on his own towards the end, it was only him at the camp.
So we all went to Portugal, and the way they staggered it is you go there for 10 days before your event. So with the marathon being the last day, as Ross just interrupted, I was left there at the last one in the camp on my own, because you come back 3 days before your race. So the marathon was the last day, so I came back the 9th of August, by which point that was the second week of the games. Some people had already raced, some people had already finished their Olympics and were done. So for me, it was kind of strange. The race itself didn't go too well for me. Wasn't my best race. And then straight away after the race, that evening was the closing ceremony. So for me, the Olympics kind of, all those months from December to January December to August, thinking about this one race, building up all the training and everything, and then it was just done. Come from Portugal, 3-4 days in the village, do the race, and then that was it, done. Monday morning I was back at home, Olympics done. So, for me it was not a bad experience. It was great doing the Olympics and being there and representing Great Britain, and especially with it being a home games. The crowd on the marathon course was, outrageous. It was just noise the whole way around the course, and by the end of it my ears were ringing from just the noise. But yeah, I enjoyed the whole experience. And yeah, it was a bad one for me, but obviously good to be in the Olympics, and hopefully I can go on to do the 2014 games in Rio.
16.
16.
I was looking at the clock and I got distracted. To be fair, can I say, at the closing ceremony, I felt a bit bad for you because you'd raced in the morning and it was a hot day. Mm-hmm. It was like, what was it, 26?
24,
25. And you'd had nothing to eat, and to the closing ceremony you had to walk about 2 miles, no more probably, it was 2.5 miles.
From the village to the stadium you had to walk, and you were stood outside the stadium waiting. And then you go into the infield, obviously all the Spice Girls.
And you had nothing
going round, and everyone's standing up. And I was with an Australian athlete who had also run the marathon, and all we wanted to do was just sit down. So at the end of it, I'm just sitting down. All the athletes are stood up, and then one by one you start to see more and more athletes start to sit down in the infield. But yeah, it was good.
You're trendsetter.
If I had the choice, I would rather be one of the first events. Like the women's marathon was the first Sunday. They had better weather, better things to do after the race. You could chill out in the village and really take in the whole Olympic experience.
The after parties.
I wouldn't know about that.
I was like, Scott, fireworks. And he was like,
So yeah, that's my experience, and I'm sure Ross has
So
slightly
what
more.
we'll do is we'll go through everyone, and then you can think about questions and stuff you might like to ask. And I've got a bucket load I'd like to ask already. So Ross, can you beat 4 minutes 31 and 0.6?
I'm quite a shy guy. I don't like to say much.
Ready?
Yeah, go. Right, so for me it was slightly different to Scott in that I was in my sort of final year of university, and I'd had sort of 2 years of not really doing much at all, through injuries and things like that, so the Olympics wasn't on my radar at all. My plan was, you know, to sort of go to American University sort of this year after I'd finished my degree at St Mary's, and go to Villanova. So my target time that year was probably around 3:40, and I had to run 3:34 to get the Olympics. But fortunately for me, from the January onwards, I got some good consistent training together, which meant, you know, I could then come out in the summer and really surprise myself. I ran 3:40, which was a 3-second PB. So I was taught my coach, I was thinking, you know, 3:38 would be a reasonable time. I might go to the European Championships that year. And then I went around 3:36, which was quite a shock as well. And then I went around 3:34. So for me, my life really changed quite dramatically, and within the space of within the space of about a month. So anyway, so around the time, qualified for the Olympics. Got there. And like Scott, went to the Holden camp. You know, they invited me there, and I was there with the team because they wanted me there. They just sort of they left Scott at home and things like that. I couldn't do what I talked about. And then that was a really good experience. It was my first Holden camp. It's quite intense for me at the Holden camp, which is slightly different to what I'm used to. I'm used to being surrounded by people who aren't athletes, which I quite like because it sort of takes your focus away when you're not training. You're actually around normal people. They're not talking about athletics all the time. And I go to this Holden camp, and all everybody was talking about was the Olympics, what they're going to do, their training, blah blah blah.
Ross was sunbathing.
I was sunbathing. I was 4 o'clock every day. I'd be out by the pool with a pint of coke.
It's actually a breath of fresh air to have in the team, I'd just say.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See? I'll give that 10 quid there.
2 minutes.
Especially with that cheese and onion crisp.
And I was always getting told off for eating too much ice cream off the head coach. He'd come past and I'd tuck me into some ice cream, and he'd be like, "Oh, you should not be eating that." I'd be like, "Oh, just let us have some ice cream."
Mind you, we're in a 4-star resort with like wine on tap.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I felt like saying, "I'm on holiday." He said, "This is not a holiday." I was like, "Oh, that's my favorite." Anyway, so I went into the Holden camp, and I remember the day before my event, Jess was competing, and the day of my event, and you could just from my bedroom you could hear the roars of the stadium, and I was just like, "This is insane! Like, it's going to be amazing." You go into the stadium, and it's really what I find eerie, which is probably the same for you, is like before you actually go out into the stadium with 80,000 people, you're in the warm-up room, and it's dead silent because it's soundproofed, and as you go from being like silent, hearing nothing but like just the running around of the athletes and things like that, to then going out into the stadium, and like it's just being the most mental thing I've ever experienced. Like, you're walking across, everyone's screaming for you, everyone's shouting for you, people don't know you.
3 minutes.
And he's put me off, man. Olympics, yeah, where was I?
Yeah,
stadium.
Just got in the stadium.
Yeah, but I think for me, I was just having such a good time. I wasn't getting nervous. I was just like, this is incredible, like having a dance around, having fun, and then, you know, qualified through my heats, got through, well, no, I didn't get through my semis, that would be a lie. Got knocked out in the semi-final, which I was slightly disappointed with, because I think I had the capability of making the final, but I sort of messed my race up. But that was my first major senior championships, and you learn from your mistakes. And then afterwards it was sort of, you hear a lot about the partying and things like that at the Olympics, and it was very much that, and and intense, and you know, you're getting in at 6 o'clock in the morning, and athletes aren't going to bed because there's a free McDonald's. So everyone's going and getting free. You remember getting free? You've seen athletes come stumbling in, like falling about like that with a Big Mac like that. And like, had a good night.
I missed that.
Scott obviously missed all this. So when we were all like, "Hey, big night, go to this place, Central London," and Scott was like, "Yeah, I'm racing in 2 days." So, but no, it was strange for me, sort of jumping in at the deep end, going into the home Olympics for your first ever senior championship. But and, you know, I was 21 at the time, and it was quite overwhelming for me. And yeah, it's going from nothing as well. I hadn't done any sort of championships in years before, and it was mental. I'm still sort of, when I want to run now, sometimes I just think, I can't believe I was in the Olympics. Oh, everyone me.
4.5 minutes.
There we go, done.
What was a bit freaky for me is I went to the Olympics and watched the day before, and then I had a day back in Kingston, and I was going to watch again, and I just had to pop in to get something with my little kiddie in boots in Kingston, and Roscoe walks past. I went, "Shouldn't you be somewhere else?" He goes, "Nah, man, just had to get out."
That's the thing for me. I actually like it was such an intense month from going to the Holden camp and everything. It got on top of me a little bit because I'm quite a laid back person. I don't take many things too seriously, to be honest. So all this like intensity, I need to get out of the village for at least a day or two and chill out and see some friends and go back to normality, and then I went back into the village. The village, it's not weird. But no, I had to get out because it had became a bit too much for me for a couple of days, so it was nice to get out of it.
Yeah. And we come on to Marilyn and her experiences.
So, my experience is slightly different to these two here, and I've kind of, like in my blogs and stuff, I kind of coined myself as the silent Olympian, because yes, I was there, but I didn't get to run. I won't go into that, you can go on Google, it's all there. Basically,
still a touchy subject.
Yeah, so basically,
But you still got 2008 games.
Yeah, so just all that, and for me I just had to really like tap into all that, it was just incredible. I lived 20 minutes from the stadium. As the boys have mentioned, it starts with a holding camp, so for me I was there as part of the 4x4, so it's just like kind of like really, for me I felt like I was kind of team travelling support. And as well as taking it all in, it was lovely to be away from Portugal. I think the only downside of going away for the camp was that we missed the opening ceremony, but we did try and reenact that as much as we could. We got dressed up in those lovely white outfits and sat in the...
It was a bit of fun that night though.
Yeah, so again it was the kind of the team camaraderie.
Because the staff at the hotel were really good and put like a big thing on for us.
Exactly,
so
nice, that was that. And then everyone's just getting really focused at the camp and just... you do try and relax as much as you can, but you can tell the sessions, everyone's just trying to put that last minute touches in. I guess for the relay team members, you're trying to show that, pick me, let me run, I'm in form. And then we get on the plane and come home, and then it's, it was an amazing thing to we're getting on a plane, we're going back home, but we were not going home, we were going into the village, and even at the airport when we landed, we had a really amazing reception. And then getting in. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's the other marathon runners were with us, weren't they? So
Yeah.
I know what's happening there. I was like, Scott, nah, Scott's just meet us here.
Yeah. So, and then once in the village, it was, like Ross was saying, it was crazy outside. It was literally like that funny thing when you were in a soundproof wall, and as soon as you go, it's like, you just get back in for a bit of respite.
Well, I thought it was like, everyone's seen the film Gladiator. I know it sounds crazy, but when he walks out for the first time in the Colosseum, and it's like, because it was crazy because you're in this tunnel, and you go out from the tunnel, and you could sort of, before you went out, you could see sort of extra bits of the crowd, and then you go out, and it was just like,
yeah.
Obviously, I wasn't in Gladiator.
Actually, that's always my favourite part. I was talking with someone before about the mental side of competing and nerves and things like that, and I'm just terrible when I'm away from the stadium and I'm sitting in my hotel room, looking around, can I go, let me go. But once I actually get, you've got the call room for 20 minutes before, and you kind of ground yourself and really focus on your game plan, what you're going to do. And once I'm in the tunnel and I can hear the crowds, that actually is really nice. You know that, and especially in London, the support was there for mainly, you could just tell the roar. As soon as we had someone from GB, it was just, the roofs were coming off. So that was always... yeah.
Stop it.
So that's always one of my favourite bits. And then it's really key times, sort of once I'm in my lane, try and, really zone from the massive crowd down to the 8 people and all 7 other girls I'm racing, and then down to my lane. And then the gun goes, and I can't remember much.
All becomes a bit of a blur, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it was fantastic. Westfield was right next door, which was pretty good for me. I spent a lot of time there.
See, I found it too manic.
It was crazy. It was manic. And what I loved about it, as soon as someone saw this top, they were like, "Can I have a kid photo with you? Here's my baby. Here you go." And I was like, "Okay, thanks, bye." Yeah, so just we had the whole nation literally behind us. It was cool. It was a really amazing experience. Something that I will cherish forever.
I don't think I'll ever get it again.
Yeah. So Beijing was incredible. I was adamant that was my favourite Olympics, but it was my first Olympics, so it would be. And even though we were in a million miles away in China, we did have the support of the Chinese, but there's nothing quite like having home behind you. So yeah, really enjoyed it.
Awesome. I mean, there's a couple of key points I want to make before anyone asks any questions. One is, and it dates back 3 years to when I opened this clinic, and I was very fortunate, and these guys all know him well, as does Tom, but Mo Farah came along and opened the clinic with Tim Brabant, who's our Olympic gold medalist canoeist. And still to this day, I get texts from people that were at that opening night saying, I've just seen Tim on the TV, hasn't Mo done well? Like, assuming that I'm hanging out with them on a day-to-day basis, which I'm not. But the point being is in that moment, the person's in the room with you. Yeah, you're going to see these people on TV, hopefully year after year, competition after competition. We're hoping to see all 3 of them in Rio. That we 3.5 years away from now, you've got a chance right now